Hey everyone, Charles here. And first of all, thank you for stopping by my podcast. If this show inspires you, makes you think, or gives you that courage to jump into action, please help by donating to this show. Click the link in the description and donate. Your donation helps us with production and finding great guests moving forward. Thank you and enjoy.
Amazon is offering sign-on bonuses up to $1,000, plus get up to $20 an hour for select roles. The best part? We're hiring near you. So start now to take home something greater. New, higher wages with a sign-on bonus, a range of real benefits, and career growth opportunities in a top-rated workplace. So earn more and see how great pay and sign-on bonuses can lead to a greater life for you. Go to amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to The Jump. Yes, Jump is a podcast to bring you interesting people to help you get over the hump. And I don't mean to jump, I mean jump into your future, jump into success. Now, my next guest, I already know he's going to be fantastic because he's got the proper name. It's Charles. Charles interviewing Charles. And if you want to know what it's all about, stay tuned and let's get in this together. Let's jump into success because you can't wait to miss this. Let's jump, everybody.
You know you should be doing something different, right? Hey, I'm talking to you. Do you believe that you have the gift for greatness or have a special talent, but don't have the courage to take that next step? Always wondering how others made it look so easy? Well, welcome to Jump, the show that will bring you special guests just like you and me. How did they get the courage to jump into greatness? Doing what they love and living the good life. So, get ready to jump with your host, Charles Matthews Jr.
Yes, we are back live. And like I said, my special guest has got the perfect name to start off my show. Please welcome Charles to the show. How you doing, Charles?
I'm great, Charles. How are you?
This is going to be weird, but
I know. We got to do CM and CC or something like that.
Oh my goodness, I love it already. So so I'll just call you, it's Charles Collins, but I'm going to just call you CC so we don't get mixed up.
That's all right.
So how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well. You know, the days are warming up here in the Northern Hemisphere. And, I think everybody's just ready to jump. Everybody's all over it right now.
So where are you calling in from?
I'm coming to you today from the coastal town of Freeport, Maine, USA.
There you go. And everything okay over there with you guys?
Everything's good. Fishing's good. Weather's good. Everything's good.
So let's start off the bat. Who is Charles Collins? Give us some background. Born and raised, where are you from?
Well, born in the United States, raised in my early days in New England, and then ventured out and lived in Mexico City for a few years, and then started traveling the world, and basically didn't touch down for about 25 years. Just circled the earth in an airplane, for business. And so it's that time in life where I've moved now into my fourth phase, the mentorship phase of life, and gathering up all the work I've done and my master's journal and other things, and getting that ready to pass on to the next generation.
So then who was Charles as a little boy? What did Charles want to become?
I think, let's see, there was one time I think I wanted to be a knight, but then I fell off the horse too often, so I gave that one up. I just said, nah, they just got to, move on from there. And, like every kid, I wanted to be whatever my imagination had me doing that particular day. Right. So, right. Yeah, it wasn't until I got a little older and started realizing, kind of what made me feel good about myself, that, I started finding, my way through the thicket,
Yeah. Yeah, I get it because it's always dreams, and you want to do this, you want to do that. But when did you know that okay, the 9 to 5 ain't me?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be me.
Mm-hmm. I think I knew it when I was right in the middle of the 9 to 5. Just said, this ain't me. But you did it anyway because you know how it is. I mean, there are times in our life where we have to take up work. We have to bring home a paycheck.
Yep.
We find ourselves falling in love with our partners, however that goes for you. And, there are things that need to be done. And so you start doing them. And some of them are like carrying the Rock of Gibraltar on your shoulders, and other things make you fly, right? But they don't always pay you. So you have to kind of find those things, don't you, Charles, that pay you and make you fly.
So tell me that one story where you're in the 9 to 5 and you just said, "What am I doing?"
So I was probably at 35,000 feet, in an airplane when that one happened, and saying, what the, it's like, I got another 12 hours to Tokyo. I don't know if I can do this anymore. Right. So that was, that long haul flights for my business, being business performance management, being my background, going to places around the planet and meeting with people, and you're running on empty, right? You haven't slept, and you just find hotel rooms just to be a little bit too much, and you haven't touched home in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
That's the time I think it did it.
So then people are going to say, yeah, but you're traveling the world, you're making money, it's a good life. People would dream to go to Tokyo and this place and that place. Why would you give it up?
Well, I have to say, there are people who go for a 2-week vacation on Tokyo to a place like Tokyo probably know more about that town than I did going there a dozen times and seeing a taxi, a hotel room, an office meeting room somewhere, and then wash, rinse, repeat, and go do it again, And you did get to go to some karaoke bars that probably were off the beaten path, but it gets old pretty fast. I did meet, and have a lot of relationships because, business is a lot of it is about relationships. And I know people and work with people all over the world, but the physical places, it took many trips back to learn and to enjoy those places because you just don't have that time in your schedule when you're out there working.
Yeah, and you're not getting to meet like strong building relationships. It's faces that and you remember, but it's not strong bonds. And you probably had more of a bond with like the stewardess and the airplanes, and they all know you more than anybody else.
I'll tell you, they knew my first name coming right on. It was Charles, and they said, "Wait a minute, aren't you Charles Matthews?" No. I knew I got to be you.
So let's get it. So here's the thing. I love the spirit, and I could see why this next venture for you was an easy transition. Or was it an easy transition for you?
Well, I never expected it to be a venture per se, because when I first started thinking about the way of craftsmanship and life as a craft versus life as a hit or miss, intuitive, fly by the seat of your pants adventure, I was not thinking of it as a business or a venture per se. I was thinking about it as a parent. One day going into a thought process about what does my child need to be learning above and beyond those things that the institutions that she's going, her schools and whatnot. And as I started thinking more and more about all the different things she needs and the skills she needs to be successful in life, which is much broader than the schools that we send them to, that was what started all of this. It was just a parent's kind of drive to a need, to want to do the best for your child. And over now 35 years of studying craftsmanship in every culture around the world and applying all the universal principles to a way of looking and living life. Now it has become, it's not a paid venture, but it is when you learn the final principles of craftsmanship, they teach, don't just do this for yourself, but do this for the benefit of the society at large. And that separates the craftsman and the craftswoman from just the skilled artisan.
Right, because it's a two-part. You're not just thinking about yourself anymore.
That's
you're
right.
thinking about others and what can you leave behind that will help others to move forward in their next generation of life.
That's right.
Okay, so then moving forward, tell me one thing that you want to leave behind. What's one legacy that you want to leave behind?
The work of my master's journal. So in the structure that's been built around life as a craft, the curriculum, it's a way of organizing the curriculum. And it's also that there are 4 phases in life as a craft, just like any craftsperson, journeyman, apprentice, journeyman, master, and mentor. When you get to that mentor stage, it's all about gathering up things that you've learned and developed and packaging them in a concise way so that it becomes a legacy and can be passed to that next generation. And you need to figure out as part of the results, because you're leaving a work behind. So the work has to speak for itself, because you're now the spirit craftsperson. You've gone on to the great beyond. So there has to be something tangible.
Right.
And so that tangible thing is the Life Masterpiece Journal, which I've just now begun publishing on Medium.
Okay, so when you say, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Life and masterpiece, right? When people look back at their life, are you looking at something that you've done in the past, something you do in the future? What is the masterpiece that you're trying to leave?
First of all, it's making yourself a masterpiece if you're ready to do that. And making a masterpiece is not an easy thing to do. Ask any master who's made a masterpiece in whatever medium. Right. It could be your show, it could be anything that you dedicate thousands of hours to perfecting and improving, right, until it becomes this really lovely end product. Well, if we look at our lives as a masterpiece in the making, and over our lifetime, we adopt the idea of the craftsperson's way of thinking, which is balance and improvement, continuous improvement, then what you're leaving behind is a record of that work. And that record, however you choose to do it, you could be doing it in the manner you're doing through this medium, right? This is a beautiful record of your work.
Right.
But at some point, you have to boil that down to something that's relatively concise to say to the next generation of your family and or society, here are the things that I have achieved in making a masterpiece of my life, and I leave them now for you to build upon.
Right. Okay. So the reason I asked you that question, because I'm on, people can watch us on the podcast. They can listen to us, watch us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and everything. People think that they want to have this masterclass right away. You know what I mean? Can you tell us about the time it takes, the craft it takes? Because people want results like this. They put a show like this on YouTube and they go, well, where's my 10,000 subscribers? Where's my 1 million followers? How come I'm not gone viral yet? You know what I mean? Like, people look at, swimming and go, why can't I go 5 lengths without taking a breath? Like, tell them the time it takes. Explain the energy it takes.
Charles, no wonder you have the brilliant name of Charles, because you bring us all to that central point, which is in the craftswomen's traditions that have been with us thousands of years. And when I say craft, I mean everything, Charles, from medicine and law and legislation to carpentry and podcasting. All human endeavor of this regard is a craft, number one. Number two, each craft or trade has its own body of knowledge, which must be learned. 3, each body of knowledge then has to be observed and practiced and improved upon for one's skills over time. And 4, you need to skillfully use the tools of that craft and not apply them too hard or too soft, but just right, so that the end result work product is a work of craftsmanship or a work of excellence of execution. Now, to your question. 10,000 hours is a number which a lot of people have heard through writing and development that it takes to achieve a level of mastery. And let's be very clear about that, mastery. However, there are levels of proficiency on the way to mastery. That is what gives us a sense of self fulfillment and a sense of accomplishment, that we're seeing the incremental improvement in our skill such that we are moving towards that higher level. Now, I said 10,000 hours. If we go to Japan and we look at Takumi, and that level of craftsmanship takes 30,000 hours to achieve. Okay, so for all of our listeners, do not be distracted or persuaded by promises of instantaneous results on something that, by all human standards for thousands of years, requires commitment and skill to take a vision that you have and make it a tangible result of quality. Put in the work. A masterpiece does not come easy.
Right. Okay. Now, with that said, my friend, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, I want to go into what's the steps and how you can help people with your company, with your business, and how you're helping people move forward. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And listen to this special that Carolyn Dickinson has for you guys, all my listeners. Take a listen.
Thanks, Charles. I'm Carolyn Dickinson, and I'm here to tell you that the Life Success Board systems are live. These success boards have massive impact. The system will allow you to be able to envision that anything is possible for every area of your life. It'll give you direction, it'll give you focus, and it'll keep you moving forward. There are 8 success board systems available to you, plus bonuses. So for more information on this amazing system, click the link below. You don't want to miss it. Back to you, Charles.
Hey, it's okay if you're driving or too busy to take notes. Charles has your parachute packed with all the info you need to jump into success. Check out the links section for all the tools you need to land safe. Now, let's keep falling with Charles and his special guest.
Amazon is offering sign-on bonuses up to $1,000, plus get up to $20 an hour for select roles. The best part? We're hiring near you. So start now to take home something greater. New, higher wages with a sign-on bonus, a range of real benefits, and career growth opportunities in a top-rated workplace. So earn more and see how great pay and sign-on bonuses can lead to a greater life for you. Go to amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Yes, we are live with my special guest. If you're just tuning in, Charles is interviewing Charles today. It's a special that you don't want to miss. Charles on Charles. Now, before we went to break, we were talking about the breakdown. How do you become the achiever? How do you get to this next level? But before we get into that, please tell everybody where they can find you on social media, any information, websites. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes, they can go to mylifemasterpiece.com, and that will take them to the master's journal that I have begun assembling there. And they can learn about the 5 elements of the curriculum for Life as a Craft. They can learn about the 4 stages that you pass through in your life from 14 or so to 80 plus years, and how they can look at the way of craftsmanship as a way of thinking, as a way of doing, and as a way of living.
All right, there you go. So make sure you check that out. And you can also, when you see there, I got more information about emailing him and talking one-on-one. So if you need more information, just go to mylifemasterpiece.com. All right, let's get into it. How do we do it?
Well, the first thing, Charles, is to listen to the message that's being transmitted in the idea of the way of craftsmanship. It's something that, as an idea, as a way of thinking, as a way of doing, may not be very familiar to people in those words. But if you say the word craftsmanship to someone, they can usually very quickly invoke something in their mind that is a work result of excellence, right? Yeah. It could be something physical. It could be a novel. It could be a wonderful motion picture. Something that's done with extreme excellence can usually invoke the word craftsmanship, and they know what that means. Now, there is authentic craftsmanship. that required the time and has the depth and the authenticity. And there is that which is the appearance of craftsmanship, someone trying to show something as quality, but upon close examination, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. And there's a lot of that out there. So the first key element. Go ahead, Charles.
Sorry, I want to jump in there. Is that like one of those cut and paste kind of things?
It is one of those cut and paste kind of things.
They didn't want to do it. They know it's a great idea. They didn't want to take the time. They want to put it out fast. So it's a little cut and paste, a little bit of this, a little bit of that kind of thing.
They want to pretend to have the appearance of quality without putting in the required work and learning the skills. Because, at the end of the day, they're not making a masterpiece of their own life. They're just pawning something else off on someone. And by the way, that's a very big craft around the world for thousands of years, which is to make somebody think, oh, this is real gold, but no, it ain't.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So that's a real critical part, Charles, is taking on the idea of understanding what craftsmanship is and what it isn't. And then the second key idea is, do you want to move toward making a masterpiece of your life? Because a lot of people just say, hey, man, that's too much work.
Yeah. I could see that they don't want the time to put in that time and energy and go for it. So that leads me to my next question. What's the best candidate for you? Who should come to you? Who should take your class? What's the best candidate to go forward?
Well, because the journal, the Life Masterpiece Journal, is present for anyone to use, I think that the person who's going to get the most out of it is going to be that individual who has reached a stage. They're probably in the journey work phase of life, age 25 to 45. That's the heavy lifting phase. That's the time you're trying to make a name for yourself. That's when you're building your foundation,
Yep.
And my guess is those that have said, wait a minute, I've seen a lot of this fake imitation product content out there, and I'm tired of it. I want something authentic. I think that person in that mind state right there. And if you're listening today to Charles's show and you're kind of in that place, you may want to think about the authenticity of craftsmanship and what it will do for the rest of your life.
Right. And people always say, oh, I want to leave a legacy. Well, this is a way of leaving a legacy. This is a way of leaving something behind because you're putting in the work, and the work will show years from now. If you
That's
work
exactly
properly,
right.
it'll
Yes.
leave a mark. It'll leave a mark somewhere, some form. People will recognize and go, hey, you remember 20 years ago, blah, blah, blah? Yep, you're the blah, blah, blah. So make sure you get up.
You said it, Charles.
So here, let's jump into a fun little game before we move on. It's called Rapid Fire, where I ask you quick questions, and you just have to think whatever comes to the top of your head, spit it out. If you have something to say about your answer, you got like 1 quick minute to explain why you picked that answer. You ready?
Are you going to edit this in case I say something I shouldn't have? Okay, folks, hang on.
We're live. It just
We're
goes.
live.
All right, here we go. Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite food?
Chile.
Chili. All right. Since you said you went to these karaoke bars, what's your favorite song to sing?
In Tokyo, it would be New York, New York.
What is your hidden talent that nobody knows about?
Wow. Pass. I don't know.
What's your favorite book?
First one that came to mind was, I think, the Tao Te Ching.
Okay, explain that one.
So the Tao, or the Tao Te Ching, is a book of observations by Chinese philosophers about the way of the natural order of things in the world and how they work. And it was them effectively describing that. So it's sometimes called the way and its virtue. Other times it's translated as the way and its craft. So it's a very interesting read.
All right. Best place you visited during your years of the job?
One of my favorite places was Jakarta, Indonesia.
Okay. All right. Favorite food to cook if you have to meet a famous person?
Spaghetti carbonara.
There you go. Now I'm hungry already.
Okay.
Here's the last question, and it's going to be a two-parter. If you can meet anybody, past or present, who would you meet and why?
Past or present, anybody. Who would I meet and why? A master craftswoman of her trade, whatever it would be.
Nice. So you're talking to the little self, going back to the little Charles, I'd say about age 25, like you said, just getting into it. What would you tell him?
I would love to have told them that life is a craft and can be approached as a structured and managed craft. And it is not this fly by the seat of your pants place that everybody kind of makes it out to be. As long as only if you have the framework, you could do it. But without the framework, it's you're in for a bumpy ride, my friend. That's what I would tell them.
I wish somebody had told me the same thing.
Exactly.
You when you're starting off your life, you don't think of the keyword you said, framework, legacy, building a structure. You're like, dude, I'm 25. I got the whole world, man. Money's good. I got girlfriends. I'm dating. I'm doing this. I'm partying with my boys, having fun. But when it comes down and you meet, like you said, you meet that special person, you're like, whoa, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You get that house. Whoa, okay. And then that first little crying baby shows up and you're like, okay. But then you look back and you're like, what am I doing? So definitely.
And was I ready for this? And you find out that you weren't. And you realize that had I been given that framework, I could have had all that fun, but I also would have been understanding where I was.
Structure it, get ready for it. Start putting things in the bank, start looking at products, I think that's the main thing that we don't do. We need to teach our young ones ahead of time that, yeah, you can have your fun, but start, like you said, start the foundation, start the class, start being your own master. And that's what we need to be, your own master. So I love it. All right. So before we go, we have this last thing that we do. It's called Pick 3, where you're going to pick 3 numbers between 1 and 10. And I have questions sitting here ready to ask you the questions you pick for yourself. So give me 3 numbers between 1 and 10.
7, 5, and 9.
7, 5, 9. Love it. Okay, here we go. Question number 1, number 7. If you were in my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask?
What is the most difficult part or thing in making a masterpiece of your life?
And the answer is?
Remembering that you are the craftsperson of your own life and that your skills that you are developing are to improve incrementally, not to stress yourself to extremes and break.
So let me ask you a question. Does everybody have a skill? Does everybody have a master class in them?
They do, Charles. Everyone can go to some place in their life where they had to spend time, and I mean real time. Could be learning to ski. It could be anything in which they incrementally, little by little, improved. And then they will realize that there's a knowledge, that there's a skill set that has to be practiced, and that improvement. And when they get to those higher levels of improvement, which is mastery, to then realize, now I can take that understanding and direct it to anything else that I want to do. But no shortcuts, baby. Do the work.
There you go. Number 5. What have you read or listened to that recently has inspired you?
Recently that has inspired me. I would say some of the podcasts that I have been doing with hosts. I really like podcast hosts because they're very on the ball. They're very alert. They're learners. They are movers and shakers. And I find going back and listening to the way that they asked questions, I learn from them. And so recently that's what I've been doing, is learning the questions and then going back and saying, did I understand the answer I gave?
Well, you're doing fantastic right now, my friend. All right. And the last question, before anybody jumps into what you do, what's the myth that you want to knock out the park before anybody goes, teaching, life coach, any of that stuff? What's the one myth you want to knock out the park?
I think the primary myth is to eliminate those things that are surrounding us and washing over us and drowning us in the world today, which are messages of achievement and skill and mastery, when in fact you have not even begun to attempt to do the work and learn the trade and the skills and the practice. Get rid of that stuff that's coming into your head and go back to a place of authenticity and learn your trade, and then learn your trades, plural.
Yes.
And then incrementally improve each one of them over time.
Perfect. All right, my friend, before we let you go, any shout outs you want to do, go right ahead.
Shouting out everyone, listen to the Charles Matthews Show.
All right, my friend, it's been a pleasure and honor to have you on the show. Before we go, one more time, make sure, tell everybody where they can catch you.
MyLifeMasterpiece.com will get you started.
There you go. Thanks, listeners. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. If you liked the show or have a comment, we would love to hear from you. Join our mailing list, and as always, check out our special deals links below. I hope this has inspired you to look at your life and jump. See you next week.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Amazon is offering sign-on bonuses up to $1,000, plus get up to $20 an hour for select roles. The best part? We're hiring near you. So start now to take home something greater. New, higher wages with a sign-on bonus, a range of real benefits, and career growth opportunities in a top-rated workplace. So earn more and see how great pay and sign-on bonuses can lead to a greater life for you. Go to amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, hope you had a great time listening to the show. If you think I did a great job, please buy me a coffee. I still got a lot of work to do. We would love to hear from you, your feedback, so please click the link and leave us a review. You can help us grow by following us on all social media platforms and sharing this link. Once again, it's time for you to jump. Success is waiting.